Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Gia Reaves or Giovanna Reaves. I write romance that includes paranormal, fantasy, and sci-fi, um, all under the Omegaverse Mpreg trope. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but that's because I've been working on Loved by my best friend's dad. And now that it's been released, I can breathe a little and catch you up on what I have coming next and what I'll be, doing a little bit of what I'll be doing this summer, or where I'll be going this summer when it comes to um, the writing community. So let's talk about what I am working on now, and that is Parker's Demon. It is the fourth book in the Pryde Shifter series. Um, if you haven't read the Pryde Shifter series yet, you'll want to start because the books are continuous. They do have a happy ending for each couple. However, it's a continuous story. The story continues, right? So the first book is Jordan's Pride, which covers Jordan and Duncan. The second book is Ryland's Inferno, which covers Ryland and Blaze. The third book is about Bronx, which covers Bronx and Callan, right? And the fourth book is about Parker and Owie. Um, and, you know, this book goes a little bit further into it dives a little bit further into the world building because, again, I have like dragons and shifters and all kinds of shifters that I try to make a little different from everyone else's, or they're wolf but not wolf, if you get my meaning. So, I know it's been a while since I published a book from this series, but I had to take a step back from writing the Pride Shifter series. I had Not only did I have like writer's burnout, but I was also working on the books for the Valleywood series because I organized the Valleywood series. So that took up a lot of my time. But the truth is, I've been working on Parker's Demon since around 2023, maybe 20, since the last book. The last book was released in like 2022. So I started working on it a couple of months after that. And then, I had to put it aside because I had to focus on Anubis' Star, which, again, another one of my faves. And then after Anubis' Star, I kind of had like a little writer's burnout. And then it took me, I took like a whole year because my husband and I were renewing our wedding vows. So, I basically took a whole year to plan it while re-editing the One Night Stand series, and I re-edited all four books. And then I wrote Tame and Leo. So even though I was going through a burnout, I was still pushing through and writing and doing other stuff, and I had to keep putting Parker's Demon to the side. And now that I can breathe, my brain and my muse is completely focused on Parker's Demon. So that is what I am currently working on. And like I said, you have to read all three books before you can continue with this one. Um, I will say that this book will be quite lengthy. I'm not gonna say it's like George R. R. Martin kind of thick, or The Hobbit kind of thick, or Lord of the Rings type kind of thick, or Harry Potter kind of thick, but it will be a bit meaty. Now, we'll say this, that I pull, not copy, but I pull inspiration from all these books because I love fantasy so much. So in the world that we're delving into, because we were in our world, our version of Earth realm, I should say. And now we're going into the Nyxian realm. Made that up. Nyxian realm. And with the Nyxian realm in book 4 in Parker's Demon, the world is a little mixed, right? So when I say mixed, I mean it has like, it's no technology that we know of, right? Um, so it's a little medieval. It's a little, got a little bit of Chinese, Japanese, Korean, African. Um, think of culture, all kind of culture mixed in one, and it's not a small realm. It's because that's what I call the places in the books. It's not a small realm. It's quite large. Um, in the aspect of community or population. The population is over 1 million or two. I think in my head the population is over 5 million, and then you have the king who rules over these people. And if you've read books 1, 2, and 3, you will know exactly who Bergstrom is and what kind of king he is to the Knights and people, and why is he so important. So, you know, I wanted to include all those elements, not only the cultural elements, but the magical elements, right? So you have everything that is based, that is used in this world is magic. The beasts, the people, they depend on magic, and I kind of drew. I think when I was writing this series, when I started writing this series, actually, I wasn't even intending for it to be this long. I thought, in all honesty, that this book would have been done with book 2. But now we're here in book 4, and who knows if there's going to be a book 5, 6, 7, or 8, or however number this world decides to expand to. So when I started writing this series, I was, and I sort of still am, in my Harry Potter era. Um, I love the world and the magic of Harry Potter. Um, and it kind of, I wrote fan fiction for Harry Potter, so that is where I draw some of my inspiration from. Now I don't copy anyone, but or I don't plagiarize anyone, because that's all I can say. But I'm inspired by the worlds that they built with dragons, and the type of shit like in Game of Thrones, where you have the dragons, but my dragons are a little different, of course. And um, like I go back to you know making the world as vast as possible. So that is where I'm at with Parker's Demon. Um, of course, it's going to be a romance. Of course, it's going to have someone getting pregnant, maybe. Who knows? I'm not sure yet. I'm never sure. I'm going to be honest with you. Writing is writing my stories is never a sure thing of how the story is going to end, because I'm a pantser. I'm not a plotter. I don't sit and plot out everything. Now I might have ideas of what I want to write, but so far as plotting, it doesn't work that way for me. I've tried. I've really tried sitting down and plotting out each chapter, like another author friend of mine suggested I do when I was going through my burnout, and it didn't work. Um, so, this world, I'm kind of um, starting out from scratch with it. So, like I said, just think of worlds or books you've read, or stories that are being told. You know, I would say that one of my inspiration for the way that the people dressed in the Nyxian realm is, it comes from Bridgerton. It comes from, again, Harry Potter. It comes from you know African influences, Chinese influences. So um, it's not just one monolith of language either. You know, they have their own language, their own way of doing things, their own culture. So I'm going to try and put that in there. It won't be just about that, because I'm all about romance. But when you're reading the book, you can understand when I say certain things or do certain or write certain things, where it comes from. Um, the glossary. I remember in book one, I had a glossary, and it was like this short. Book two, I don't think I had a long glossary, or if I had a glossary for it. Book three, there really wasn't a glossary. Um, but book four, I'm pretty sure will be longer, because, again, whole new realm, whole new world, starting from scratch, building. Plus, I'm adding not just one realm, I'm adding two realms, two extra realms. I know in book two, we had the Draconium realm, dragons. And in book three, I really didn't, I stayed basically with vampires. So, yeah, there wasn't much different that I added to book three. Um, so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm working on. Now, I don't have a set release date month. I'm going for October. That is the month. Date, not so sure. I'll know when closer to the end of the book, because I know this book is going to be longer than the other three. I usually like to just stick to what month I would love to release my books. Just like with the book I just released, I knew I wanted to do it at the end of March. And that's, I knew I wanted it in March, but as soon as I got closer and closer to getting to the end, I was like, okay, I can release this around the end of March. So that is how I work. I don't work with saying this book is going to come out on this date, because things happen, you know. Another burnout could happen. I pray it doesn't. I could get sick. My whole family just had COVID. So, you know, I always plan ahead than stick to one day. Okay, so let's talk about where I will be this summer. I have 4 conferences that I know I'm going to this year. The first one is Pryde Lit Con in June 13th to the 14th, or June 13th and 14th. It's going to be in Richmond, Virginia. The tickets are $25. So if you're in the Virginia area, just drop on by. Um, my pre-orders are up on Ben Venetti, where you can order your book. You have it signed, and all my books always come with swag. Any pre-orders, or even if you order from my website, there's swag that comes with it. So it's not just the book. You don't just get the book, you get more. Um, so yeah, I'll be in Virginia 13th and 14th, and then July is when Romanticon in Connecticut. I don't remember the date for Romanticon, honestly, but that's where I'll be. Um, those are 2 major ones, and then I know there's another 2 that's coming after that. I think I have a conference every month starting from June to October. So that's all I have for now. It's quick, short, and to the point. But before I go, or drop a comment and let me know which one of my books you enjoy reading, what book brought you to here, and also if you want behind the scenes access to early chapters of any of my stories, because I don't just have one story that I work on. I currently have at least 3 or 4 stories that I'm currently working on right now. Join my Patreon. The links will be in the description. So I love to hear from you. And like I said, more videos are coming. Thanks for Watch until the end of the video. Bye.